Today, on Rise Up, we kick things off by exploring some powerful community posts shared on the Risers official YouTube channel. Next, Sister Sawson takes a hard look at the topic of corruption within Judaism, offering a thought-provoking analysis. Then, Sister Ridha explores the law of attraction, unpacking the real secret behind how it works, and how to truly align with it in a grounded, purposeful way. And finally, we sit down with Brother Dabil, who reflects on his experience at the recent conference and open house tour. This is Rise Up.
Hello, very good morning and welcome to Rise Up. I'm Irfan Alamgir, and with me on the couch I have the return of Brother Abeer. He's proving to be quite a hit on the morning show, and he's back for some more action. And my good friend Brother James makes a return to the couch. It's been a long while, James.
It's a bit of a shock to be here, but it's a blessing to be here, especially with our new dear brother Abeer, who I was
going to miss that opportunity with.
Blessed to meet yesterday and to hear more about his journey to the Dawah. And his love of ancient philosophies that all gravitate towards and reflect the call of Abba Sadiq alayhi salam. And I thought that was beautiful that he was tapping into knowledge from the Goal of the Wise, linking in with ancient philosophers like Lao Tzu and Plato and Socrates.
Yes.
So that was interesting to hear about his journey.
Yeah, his journey was something that makes complete and perfect sense because of that open-mindedness, that willingness to entertain an idea without necessarily accepting it is a quality and a virtue in and of itself. And it's something the Prophet Aristotle spoke about. And it's something that we hold to be very dear and a way of life, like to listen to an opinion, entertain it, don't just reject it because it comes from a book that you're not familiar with or something your parents may have said is a book from the devil, or this is something that has come as a result of idol worship. You have to examine information that reaches you. The Quran, it's a Quranic injunction. Even if news from a fasik, which is a person who is not reliable, is coming, you investigate that matter. This is what the Prophet Muhammad taught. Now the matter of the Mahdi has appeared. A man has emerged with the title of Abba Sadiq, with the kunya of Abba Sadiq, and he is saying, I'm the Mahdi that the Prophet Muhammad spoke about. And people are just letting it fly over their head. They're not examining the proofs that he has come with, and they are rushing to assumptions and judgments based on preconditions, things that they have been programmed with by society, by the non-working scholars, by the enemies of Allah in each and every time. And it is for this reason why we have gathered today, because we feel it is incredibly important to deprogram the mind of mankind that has been put in this little box, and that it's like your thoughts have to be a certain way, right? You have adopted the thought patterns, you've inherited them like your genetics from your parents, and you can only think in a certain way. But this is where the Caliph of Allah that is mentioned in the Quran, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa, that Caliph is the one that rips off that VR mask and shows you the reality for what it is. And this is why we're here.
Break out of that box. And ironically, at the same time, we know we're locked in a logical box of proofs by the Dawah, because Abba Sadiq is the companion of evidences, and the evidences are so overwhelming, linking in with the will and the raising of the banners with the divine knowledge, that it is locking you in a logical box, but it breaks you out of the box of your cultural and traditional barriers that have held you back through generations, and people just have to be prepared to take that leap of faith, and when they do that, they will find that it encompasses through all the religions, and there is a universal call that gravitates towards 124,000 different prophets and messengers from east to west. And, whether it's someone like Abeer or James, we come from completely different worlds, but in reality, we both recognize that the message is universal, from Lao Tzu to Jesus to Plato to Krishna. And so there must be an underlying core faith.
Yeah. Yeah, and, we had a call yesterday, Abeer. We had a gentleman by the name of Simon call us from the land down under, and he was an evangelical Christian, and his mission, I think, was to save our souls and bring us back to Christ, and we appreciated his phone call, but we really want to take this opportunity for anybody new who's watching, somebody who's tuning in for the first time or who has just stumbled upon us three gents here on this couch talking about the Mahdi from different parts of the world who have united upon this truth. How would you summarize for them the nature of this call and why it matters in this particular time?
It's a really good question. It's a really broad question. It's a difficult one to answer, but I'll try to do my best. I think, you guys touched on, this almost like a herd mentality thing that the whole of humanity is sort of encompassed in, and it's a difficult box to break out of. I mean, you get taught a particular way to think since you're born up until however old you are, and that is the way you think because it's comfortable. It's like challenging your existing norms, your disposition. It's very difficult when people become comfortable with that. And Brother Simon, who called us yesterday, he was convinced that the path that he was on was the true one. Like everybody else, a lot of people, they are very passionate about what they believe in, and they will go to the grave believing exactly that. And that's exactly what we need to challenge. And it's very possible that we come back to the same truth. Something that Abbas Sadiq has said that has stuck with me, and is something I completely believe in, is that the truth is not insecure. So if you question your own reality, if you question your own teachings and what your scholars, or your parents, or your teachers have taught you, if it's true, you're going to come exactly to it, right? But if it's false, you might discover something greater, something bigger, because the truth isn't afraid of anything. The truth is the truth. It's objective, right? And that's what we need to be a seeker of. We need to be a seeker of the truth, as opposed to being a seeker of being the best Muslim, or being the best Jew, or being the best Christian. Because when you do that, what are you actually saying? That I want to be a certain persona or be a certain archetype for society, how society see me as good, or how society see me as fitting in with themselves, right? But actually, when you want to seek the truth, you have to accept the fact it's going to be hard. It's going to challenge your existing paradigms, right? And it's a journey that people find really difficult to go on. But that's what we invite people towards. We're inviting people towards a call that is asking you to challenge your own paradigms and to discover Abbas Sadiq al-Islam, who is saying exactly that, to question your own realities, to break out of, dare I say it, the matrix.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
very beautiful. And when you reflect on that, I think of the true concept of Tawheed or monotheism, and how all of these messengers that we mentioned earlier, they all came with the same fundamental concept of monotheism. And if there is a true monotheism, meaning one God, then it must be consistent, that pathway, meaning there must be one absolute God beyond our comprehension, that is omnipresent, omniscient, but we cannot actually realize except through a messenger that he sends. And then surely then these archetypes, they must all resonate with that frequency. And that's what these people have got to realize. And anything that comes apart from that, or exaggerates that messenger to a higher level, or demotes him to the level of just you and me, means that they must have gone astray somewhere. And there's nothing wrong with them reevaluating. And we're not here to say that we're better than anybody else. We're just here to say that is an eternal truth.
Yeah. I think you brought it up really nicely, alluding to that hero's journey, which was popularized by Joseph Campbell. And that journey really begins with asking the question of what is real, or in the movie that you also referenced, what is the Matrix, right? What is this world? Who is projecting it? Who are the people holding up its structures that cause us to perceive and interpret things in a certain way? And that is not easy to do. That is actually a shocking experience, and that's something that we've demonstrated through the various social experiments we've spoken about on Rise Up, such as the ASH experiment, where you conform because of peer pressure, because of group pressure.
Exactly.
People will change their answers in response to what others are are saying, with the lines being different length, and you just see, you put the person who doesn't know it's an experiment at the very end of the queue, everybody else says one answer, and you're like, they've got this confused look on their face, but they go with the group. They go with the herd mentality, and this is what we have to break out for. But it's not easy. It's very uncomfortable. But you gotta take that discomfort and take that leap into the unknown.
Absolutely.
Right? That's what it's really about.
It is, but it's a great challenge, and it's easier said than done on the basis that, you know, let's just say you're a single guy and you've been on a journey, and then suddenly you take that journey. It might be quite easy to gravitate towards if you don't have a family, if you don't have a strong friendship group. But for people who are very, let's say, well-to-do in society, who are affluent, who are connected to a strong family ties, it is a struggle. But ultimately, truth is always far more important than anything else. And we have to be prepared to take that leap.
I do think that everyone has something to lose. So even if, in my opinion, if you're a single guy, you've got nothing to lose, you live in a small flat, but then in that particular instance, you're just attached to your comfort, aren't you? You're attached to your television, possibly. You're attached to just being in your house and knowing what's going to come tomorrow. It is that, as you mentioned, that unknown, that fear that you just don't want to discover anything like that. And I think Abbasadi puts it as well in the book, The Go of the Wise, that this is the journey of the free. This is the journey of the free mind, and that's what we want to achieve. You want to get rid of these shackles of, you know, society and these, you know, these, I don't know what to call it, but almost like these constraints that society has put on us. We really break free of those and really almost understand our own potential. Because in this world that we live in, we have so much potential. We have so much to give back to the society.
I reflected on what you spoke to me the other day, and you were talking about some of the movies that are projected out there in the Matrix, and how they talk about not just conformity, but limitation. And you mentioned particular movies that you'd come across where they're literally encouraging people through the entertainment industry to believe that there's no hope. And that they just have to conform to what there is and just accept their fate. And that's so limiting.
Absolutely.
And that has a big impact, I think, through the media, through music industry, through movies. And that cannot be an accident.
No, I think mind programming has reached a very sophisticated level. We talk about the manufacturing of consent. We talk about how the media creates this Lucifer effect. They really do control people's perception, and then that perception becomes their reality. And then they have this world that you rightfully said, even if you are a single guy with nothing in life, no attachments, you're not comfortable in the world that you have. So yes, there's more at stake there. It's definitely more difficult if you are plugged in on a more deeper level. But I think this is a key point, that everybody is in their comfort zone, and to get out of it, it takes something inside. And what took you? What was that thing in you that made you?
It's a trigger. There must be something that triggered you.
I think this call is one of those things. I was saying earlier that if once you've seen it, once you understood it, once it's resonated with you, it's very difficult to see the world the same way. You can't unsee what you've seen, and that's the nature of truth. That's the nature of, you know, what you feel, and I've always felt like there's a difference between believing in something and knowing something to be true. And when it gets to the point when we ask everyone to investigate the call, we ask everyone to do their thorough research, to ask questions, you know, to really answer all the questions, the deeper questions that they have. But once you do answer those questions, it's almost like an arrow that enters into your heart. There's nothing else you can do, you know, but to follow the truth. And you also have to admit to the fact that in that process, you're going to lose a lot of relationships, you're going to lose a lot of material things, but that's the process of gnosis. And that, in fact, coming to your point, is exactly what Western philosophy teaches us, to let go of your desires. So,
but that's interesting as well. But I reflect on how the community is expanding here with Abu Sadiq, and how we're growing exponentially, and people from different nations with different life experience, and therefore so much talents and abilities to offer, that somehow it seems that despite losing something, you always gain something more in the end. And there's I think the Hadith Qudsi, and they talk about this, don't they? That when you give back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives back to you in a greater fashion in the end. But you have to align yourself with God's will. That's the key.
Absolutely.
That's the key. And there's a very interesting narration that I wanted to get both of yours kind of opinion on, which is that, and take on, because it's about the companions of the matter who are able to walk out of Plato's cave and see the reality, and that is not easy to do. And I think that's a very beautiful metaphor by Plato, who is a prophet of monotheism. Yes, you heard it correctly. Plato was one of the 124,000 prophets that was sent on earth to guide and enlighten mankind. And one of his teachings through his master Socrates was this allegory of the cave.
Yeah.
And really what it demonstrates is, and it's an insight into this narration that I wanted to bring up, which is that the companions of this matter who decide to venture into the unknown, and they have this call for adventure, and they get up from their comfort zone and go into discomfort, there is something that drives them. And that is a realization somewhere, whether it's intuitively or it's just the way they are, or they feel something is wrong with the world. And it is for this reason the narration states something along the lines of the people who reach this matter are considered insane by those who live in that reality, in the material world, but to the people of the heavens, they are sane. And their insanity is because there is something, there is a mismatch, there is some compatibility issue with the system that they find themselves in. They think, well, you know, here I am working, 80 hours a week, and all that work without me getting to touch my salary at the end of a hard grafting month's work, the government will take 50% or 40% of that salary. And then they'll take another big chunk to put into some kind of investment bond or something for my future, which I could or could not access. Tomorrow is not promised. And these types of things, they unsettle people.
And much of it's used for nefarious purposes. Maybe it's part of the military-industrial complex, or to fund wars overseas. And you're having to play into that, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, well, it certainly isn't a transparent system that they have, but this is an interesting narration, isn't it? Because
it is.
Being considered to be insane or not of right mind by the people who are in the system and at peace with the system is a very interesting insight.
Absolutely. I want, there's another reference to this in the film The Matrix, where I think Morpheus is speaking to Neo, and Morpheus said that there's some people who they call agents that's fundamentally so ingrained into the Matrix themselves, they will fight to defend it, right? And it's just because they've bought into that narrative that's been fed into them through television, through media, through the evil forces that unfortunately run the world in today's day and age. I fundamentally believe that if you want to fix something, if you've got the intention behind it, you can fix it. There's nothing stopping you. But if the intention isn't there and the world is going in the direction that you described, like the cost of living crisis, people are struggling to pay their bills, people are struggling to put food on the table, if things are going in that direction, then that makes me believe that there are forces that are deliberately taking our society and our communities into that direction.
Exactly.
And we need to fight that. We need to be in a position of, rather than being hopeless about it, possibly investigate this call, because this call for me personally gave me a lot of hope. I feel like when I'm here, even talking to you brothers over here, I feel like if anybody's watching and they're listening to this and then they think, oh, actually, you know what? Maybe I can go check my neighbor. Maybe I can go ask my friend how he is. Do anything positive. And I think that's what the world is missing at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. Go back to basics of being community people, caring for elderly in your community, and the homeless and all that kind of thing. And then when you reflect how we have someone who's representing us, who's the leader of this community, who is actually representing that character in that allegory of the cave, who was the one that came out of the cave first and foremost, and he experienced that world beyond, and he obviously loved that world beyond because it was real and it was much more pure and selfless.
Yeah, don't forget after an initial struggle to cope with the blinding light.
The blinding light. But what did he do? Did he stay there and embrace it for himself and for those that were there? He came back knowingly that the people initially would probably fight him and mock him and ridicule him because he was suggesting that they break out of that comfort zone. And yet he still did that. And he came back, and you see now that many people are realizing there are shadows flickering in front of them, and they want to break out of that. But it's a battle that he willingly took on, knowing the risks involved, I'm sure.
Yeah, and for our modern audience that are not familiar with the allegory of the cave, or Plato's cave as it's famously known, then certainly check it out. And if you want to see it in a movie format, then the movie The Matrix is actually a very good recommendation. You know, for the modern mind, that movie I think really does highlight the errancy and the issues that exist in the world as we perceive it today. The world needs to change, and there's a line that's one of my favorite lines from that movie when Morpheus, the teacher figure of this character called Neo, who's undergoing the hero's journey and that inner transformation, he says, "What led you here? It was like a splinter in your mind driving you mad." There is something that is in the world. It is not right, and you know it isn't right, and your soul is that part that knows it's not right.
Exactly.
And there begins the journey. And the beginning of the journey is beginning to happen for a lot of people. A lot of people are beginning to unplug from this metaphorical matrix that we talk about, which is the reality that has been pulled over your minds or over your eyes to blind you from the truth that exists behind it. And people are beginning to wake up. And we saw it very manifestly in the recent conference, international conference of the Ahmadi Religion of Peace and Light. It was the Supremacy of God Conference. Okay, so we have a brother on the phone before we jump into the community post. It's a perfect segue into inviting him onto the phone. And brother, please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. It's Farhan.
Walaikum salam, brother Farhan. Can you speak a little bit closer to the phone? Your voice is
I'll certainly try. Hold on, bear with me 1 second. Let me move closer to the window because the connection might be a little bad. Is that better?
Farhan, God bless you so much. It's good to hear your voice.
God bless you, James. God bless you, James, and thank you for fixing my back.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, as Abeer was saying, that's the primary goal, is to be good to our neighbours, love thy neighbour as thyself. We start with that mantra. We might have a benefit of going forward, an ability to go forward.
You can run the next medicine of the Mahdi segment.
I think it might have been a chain reaction because Brother Farhan actually did fix my back as well. Gave me a bit of elbow massage. So,
absolutely, I forgot. Yes, Brother Abeer. Assalamu alaikum. God bless you, Abeer. God bless you, Dr. Irfan. God bless you, James.
The headset a little bit because your voice is still quite low. But try now. Let's.
I literally have my head hanging out of window for you guys right now.
No, we don't want to endanger your life in any way, shape, or form, brother. Please keep safe. We've just turned up the volume, and you go right ahead, brother Farhan. Where are you calling from again? Sorry.
Well, look, London.
London. Okay.
London.
Sorry. Carry on.
London. So. Where do I begin? I mean, as an experience, but let's start with a thank you. I mean, I've never experienced such love and heavenly hospitality that you guys displayed. And the feeling, I think Abeer shares quite a bit of it with me whilst we were out there, of being around people just on a very base level with no egos, just no egos, you know, where there's nothing but love. And everyone wants to do everything for you, and that's something really special. That's something really special. You know, I said to a friend of mine when I came back, I was on a call with him, and he's a bit of a Quranist. I remember saying to him, "Look, even if these guys are going to hell, I want to go to that hell because if that's what can I say? I'm actually speechless right now because the whole experience was one. I'm 53 years old. I've never seen people like this, just selfless.
No, it's very
just
nice
want to do the right thing, want to serve God.
Thank you so much for giving that testimony, and you are somebody who we were just actually mentioning now, there's a difference in describing something and tasting something, and you were given the opportunity to taste the nectar or the honey, and you can now really see the people who are here. They're among the best of the people who have returned in this day and age to support the Imam of their time, because they've made that realization that true change is only possible when a man appointed by God is at the helm of a ship.
And speaking of that man, I mean, you know, it's like you say about the taste. I could tell you what a mango tastes like, but you'll never know what a mango really tastes like. And the taste that Abu Sadiq left me with, what can I say? He's Ahlul Bayt. He's the final stop. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing after that veil. You know, it's only Allah after that veil. And
I couldn't.
By the way, I think I left something
with that from your studies of the family of Muhammad. So you know what they represent from their teaching. So you know, you understand what that archetype should manifest as, and you've experienced it now, but in real way.
Yeah, but James, that's the thing. Theory is always theory. Practical is practical, and the practical is something that cannot be described, as you say. But listen, guys, I think I left something there. I might have to come back and get it.
Oh, any excuse to
I
come
think
back?
that was just an excuse to come back.
It's if you didn't guess, it's my heart. I left my heart there. I need it back.
You are a poet, aren't you?
Yes.
Very romantic. And,
I've been called many things.
Yeah, well, look, you used the perfect analogy. You know, it says it's biblical wisdom. It says, know them by their fruits, and he chose my favorite fruit, the mango.
Exactly. Well, this is it. You know,
just bring the mangoes with you.
And at the end of the day, you know, the fruit are the Ansar, and having not met, whilst I was out there, having not met Abu Sadiq al-Islam, just meeting the fruit was almost enough for me. You know, they were so tasty.
Alhamdulillah. Very, very nice of you.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
The impression that you left with is, I think a lot of people would attest to that, and you're absolutely right. I mean, people here are those people who are sincere. They didn't come with any expectation. They came only for the face of Allah, and they found it.
Exactly. Well, look, I'll leave you guys to it. God bless you. Labbaik ya Abu Sadiq.
Brother.
Thank you so much for your call, Farhan. It was lovely to meet you as well, and to see your
finally, yes, James, finally.
This call.
Yeah, may Allah safeguard and protect you, and return soon and collect your heart. It's in the lost and found.
God bless you.
Labbaik ya Abu Sadiq. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Take care, guys.
Thank you, brother.
Bye.
So yeah, there's a saying, there's a famous narration with the name Farhan in it. It says that the rise of God happened in Sa'ir, but the appearance happened on Farhan.
SubhanAllah, I never connected the name because it's often spelt PH, but that would be the Torah, the Jewish,
yes,
the Hebrew Tanakh version, as opposed to Mount Farhan, where Prophet Muhammad rose.
Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam appeared. So yeah, we really do appreciate that call.
No, absolutely. I think I completely agree with everything he said. Meeting Brother Farhan, he himself is an Ansar, a believing brother, and it was lovely to meet him, and lovely to meet all the other brothers and sisters that came. I was in a very unique position where I was obviously at the hotel where they were staying, but I also met all the Ansars living in the community as well. So I really felt the energy that they had, and they were so keen on meeting Abu Sadiq alayhi salam. You know, it's because if you have ever felt lost, if you've ever felt like, you know, you don't know your purpose here, and especially if you've got that, as you mentioned, but Morpheus mentioned, if you've got that so itch to know what is wrong with the world, then when you find the Savior, the way, the path that you need to follow, it's like bliss. And I completely resonate with what Brother Farhan said there.
And James, that experience that our brother described so beautifully in the fruit that he tasted here, the fruit of faith entering the heart, it really is, it comes from this knowingness that we have, you know, this like we've met each other before, and this, it's like a soul family reunion kind of thing happening.
Exactly. You're meeting people, and I know that other brothers that were there, and I'm sure they don't mind me mentioning the names, like Brother Andrew. And I felt that I'd known him, you know, all my life in many ways, and I hadn't seen him for a long time. And then they're suddenly
Brother
there.
Andrew, call in if you're watching.
And they're so pleased to see you as you're pleased to see them, and you've got a lot of shared experience in life, and And it just feels somehow like a splinter, not like a splinter of like there's something wrong in the world, but I dare say in the opposite fashion, that there's something good in the world as well, and that we have that deep resonance, or that kernel of truth that connects us like a diamond, that drives us to come together. And Abba Sadiq said it, and they've said it in some of the documentaries, like how he brings and draws people together from the four corners of the earth, like they say in the book of Isaiah, and he raises that banner, and they come through the clouds in domes, and they come and they don't even fully comprehend themselves, and it's like a dream within a dream, but they come because they know it's that calling that drives them. And
these are the diamonds in the rough, the needles in the haystack that are attracted to the magnet, which is the Imam of the time. He draws them out from wherever they are, and he's the one that kind of induces that feeling in them, because the soul is really yearning to go home.
But it's so magical when you think about it, because all the previous covenants were linked to like a blood lineage. And so obviously it was more, I guess, a demographic based on certain races or genders or whatever it might be. But this covenant is predominantly the soul. So obviously we have people from such diverse backgrounds, and it just blows apart all the mainstream religions that are dogmatic and that say it must be conditional. Well, what about your background? You know, when I used to, I dare say, go to the Shia masjid, they'd look at me as if to say, can you name the imams? But if I walked in with an Iranian look, they probably wouldn't have said that, you know, because the perception is a white man shouldn't know those things, perhaps. And so this soul covenant, it tears that apart.
Yeah, absolutely does. And I think, we were talking about Abba Sadiq, and I just have this sudden kind of inspiration to ask Brother Abeer this question, that Abba Sadiq has a very interesting title. Now, we believe he's the Imam of the time. We believe that he has returned in this time as the Adam of this age, and in order to have a relationship with God, you must know the veil of God, the hijab that Allah wears in this time, which is Abba Sadiq. And he has a very interesting title. And Abeer, coming from a 12th Shia family, can you expand for us and enlighten us about the title that the Mahdi has, which is a distinguishing title because it is the word Qa'im in Arabic, and what this denotes and the significance of this particular character, because people use Mahdi, Qa'im, Imam. Where does the Qa'im fit in within the Shia Islamic eschatology?
So it's a very interesting question, and when we look at the Shia literature, including Book al-Kafi, now the word Qa'im or Mahdi has been used in very different, very diverse places. Yeah. Which is, and in some instances, in opposition to each other. So you have to wonder, like, either some of the stuff in the books is either incorrect, or maybe, as we believe, they're talking about separate characters. Now, according to the Shia belief system, obviously we believe in the Shias believe in the 12 Imams.
What does Qa'im mean, first and foremost, for our audience that are not Arabic speaking?
I'm not 100% sure. Qa'im, as
someone who rises, right? Because we talk about Yawmul Qiyamah. And the reason I mention this is because he is that figure that we really have been commanded to look for in the end times. And I want you to really emphasize the narrations or some of the words of the Imams about this character in particular, and why it is so important to reach him. And people are reaching him now in droves.
Well, one of the things that's very clear in Nahj Balagha is that you have to follow the one that's firstly pre-denoted by the previous messenger Imam who's going to come afterwards. So the will, or this idea that you have to be mentioned by the previous messenger prophet, is very, very fundamental to our faith. And that's exactly why he is the Adam of our time, because he is the person who is basically coming in as this almost like a chain
unbroken
of prophets.
Chain of successors.
Absolutely. Starting from the Holy Spirit that was blown into Adam, all the way from Adam to Noah, then Abraham, then Moses, and Jesus, and Muhammad, and the family of Muhammad, and to obviously the 12 Mahdi.
All of them. Yeah,
obviously the 12 Mahdi.
And didn't they say traditionally, like, Noah was the riser from Bani Adam, and Moses was the riser from Bani Hebrew or whatever it is.
Very
Bani Israel.
point, James, because now you're talking about those prophet messengers that rose with a covenant.
And a book usually, and a new jurisprudence.
Yes.
So we now have an awakening and a shift in consciousness.
Absolutely.
Which is critical, which means it must be required right now.
Yeah. And you have to ask the question, like, and this is something that I get a lot when I'm speaking to some of my Shias brothers and sisters, and they ask me the question, well, why, if this is all true, well, why didn't the Prophet mention all of this about possibly the drinking of alcohol or reincarnation, etc.? So in terms of jurisprudence around the hijab or alcohol, again, our consciousness was not elevated to that level. It's not something that we could accept. We have to realize that the Prophet came to a people who worship sticks and stones. And for them to be able to understand the hidden or the batin, it was very difficult, understanding the Gnostic and the esoteric side of religion. They had to be able to really get into the position where they could really deeply understand. I mean, what are we trying to achieve here? We're trying to understand God. We're trying to find God, right? And it cannot be so cheap or so easy that he may be found in ritualistic things. He doesn't need our prayers. He doesn't need our fast. It has to be something deeper, a deeper meaning, a deeper way that we can realize the true nature of God.
But I guess it's also merciful that God, when he does manifest through a messenger in that time, he reaches the people with their minds and their limitations. So if he goes beyond that, there wouldn't be any believers. So the journey has to unfold as much as humanity's evolution of the mind or consciousness is unfolding as well.
Yeah, and we stand on the cusp of the dawn. That's of the rise of the riser of the family of Muhammad.
And he reveals the letters, doesn't he? So that means there must be so much more.
So this is where we're at now. Now, we believe that the jurisprudence of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, who Abba Sadiq has called on many occasions the best of creation, was the sixth covenant. And the Qa'im, who rises in this day and age, comes with a new jurisprudence. And it's really only those Muslims that divorce themselves from the Ahlul Bayt, the Imams that succeeded the Prophet Muhammad through the line of his daughter Fatima, the first Imam being Ali bin Abi Talib, of course. And it was this detachment, this severing of that umbilical cord from God, which is what they represented, that deprived themselves of these narrations, which are preserved in the Shia books, are they not, Brother Abeer, where it says that the riser will rise with a new matter.
Absolutely. It's completely clear in the book Al-Kafi that the riser will rise to a new matter with a new jurisprudence, and he will challenge a new book. And you know, that is very consistent if you think about it with all the messengers and the prophets. You have to understand that all of these prophets, they were never academics necessarily. They were academics in their own right, in the fact that they had the knowledge of the time and more. But they, first and foremost, they were reformers. They were against the establishment. They were against the system of man. And that's exactly what the Mahdi of the Qaim is going to do. And that's where the term comes from, the riser. He's rising from the ashes of this and
from
false
the west
word
as well, which is a miracle.
That's absolutely.
He rises from the west, and we've seen how we rose the Black Banner in the Vatican City in the west. And that had that impact, and now that is clear that that's what's happening as well.
Yeah, no, it's happening in real time, and people all over the world are responding. And let's, I think, bring light to the fact that we have people in all four corners of the globe, from South America to Australasia to Northwest Europe, Canada, and the Far East. Yes, Africa, there are believers in this call who have recognized the riser of the family of Muhammad, the Qaim of the family of Muhammad, peace is from him, in China, who have pledged allegiance and recognized the Holy Spirit of God, when those people who hold on to the will of the Prophet Muhammad as a basis for their belief in the 12 Imams that succeeded the Prophet, who have not been able to do that. And we really have to recognize the sparkle in the eyes of these believers, the works that they do around the world. And we really, and Abba Sadiq is actually first and foremost in giving them the limelight and celebrating them.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is something we have to do on Rise Up too.
The miracle for me was when we go back to Abba Salik's videos, and it's not even a secret anymore. He had a Q&A, didn't he, with one of the brothers from China, who stood up and talked about a narration about a tree and an apple, I think it was, or something like that. And he tried to draw the allegory out of that. And in reference to that, Abba Salik declared that that was him. So he is that man from China who recognized the call. And they say seek knowledge in China.
Exactly.
So wherever we go, we should seek knowledge and don't listen to who's saying it, but listen to what they're saying. So wisdom can be gained everywhere we go in life. But ultimately, this man from China, I think he wanted to faint at that moment. And these miracles are happening all around us, and we're passing them over like it's just like a breakfast cup of tea, but it's a bit more significant than that.
No, it is, and it also brings to mind a very pertinent narration related again to the Qa'im, which talks about the Qa'im, when he rises, people of this matter shall go out of it, and into it shall come in the worshippers of the sun and the moon. Those people who are really on the extreme ends of what we would consider to be from the Abrahamic monotheistic faiths.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Brother James touched on something very significant, that we need to be able to be in a position where we're listening to what is being said as opposed to looking at who's saying it, because the truth can come from anywhere. And also, there's a saying where we need to do a righteous judgment, we need to judge through righteousness. So again, it just points to the fact that the truth can be anywhere, and the truth is absolute and it's objective. And if you judge by surface level matters, well then, if you imagine Moses when he walked into the palace of Pharaoh, like how would he have looked? There are narrations in Nahj Balagha which mentions that Moses used to eat so little that you could see the food if you ever looked at his stomach. So there's this man who has a lisp. He uses Aaron to speak for him, and he's walking in, and in this massive palace, like who's going to listen to him? But again, this is what God is testing. How do you judge this call? If you judge it through the appearance, if you judge it through outward surface level metrics, you will not recognize the truth, and you have to really be objective and be in a position to challenge yourself and inevitably use your heart.
Yeah. Because the people would, in theory, want to presume that the Qa'im from the family of Muhammad might come out of the house of Najaf or something, because that would suit their criteria a little bit more, and they'd be at peace with that. But when he comes from the belly of the beast, which we know today is the greater Dajjal, America, and he speaks with an American accent, then are they going to find that a little bit of a bitter pill to swallow? But so what? As he says himself about his background in business or career path, whatever it was. So what that King Saul was the son of a cobbler? So what that Samuel was a shepherd and Jesus was a carpenter and Muhammad was a merchant? Peace be upon them all. Does it really matter what is their background? If they have the inspiration of God, do they need to come from academia? I don't get it.
No, very good point that you raised, James. And this also emphasized by the story of Prophet Moses, who was a prince of Egypt, and nobody listened to him. And then he became as a shepherd in rags, with his skin attached to his ribs, because on the account of the fact that he was always in a state of fasting. And they rejected him again. And this happened in the time of Jesus. Jesus said, I came merrymaking, drinking wine, dancing, and you rejected me. And John the Baptist came eating crickets and honey and living a life in the outback
wilderness,
of Israel, and you rejected him too. So it's never the apparent, isn't it? It's not the fact that I wear a beanie or you don't wear a beanie, or I've got jeans and you've got a suit. That's all rubbish. That's nonsense. We have to look past the apparent.
Absolutely.
And these people who are now coming up that we're going to celebrate, and we always do on Rise Up, are people who have managed to see the essence. They worship the meaning and not the name. They have understood that God always has a caliph through whom he interacts with the creation. If there is a God, there must always be an imam of the time. Those who know him, they have awoken from Jahiliyyah, from pure ignorance. And let's bring up now these people and celebrate them from all over the world. And let's spin the globe and see where we land first and which Ansar is recognized by the riser of the family of Muhammad on his Mehdi Has Appeared YouTube channel. Iran, Middle East. Talk about belly of the beast.
Yeah, Elvin prison for those that get caught.
Absolutely. You know, some Ansar are going through great troubles in order to spread the call, because some of them, the family members might be against, their friends might be against it. So they, you know, some of them might be doing it in secret, but they're going out there, they're spreading the call, they're spreading the message.
Yeah, and by the way, you know, again, talking about the apparent, this may not seem like much, but in a country like Iran,
absolutely,
every stroke of that pen on that piece of paper is more valuable to God than all the riches in that land.
Yeah.
This is a person who is literally, without any exaggeration, risking their life because they are putting on that piece of paper news of the emergence of the Mahdi.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that also emphasizes that, you know, they're giving more power to the soul over the ego, because the ego's main function is to survive, right?
Yeah.
It wants to look out for itself. So the fact that they're going out of the way where they know that if they get spotted or if they get identified, they could be in trouble.
For them. Not just them and their whole family. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we've seen instances of that before. And if it wasn't for the support of the human rights team here in conjunction with the UN, many of those people would have disappeared. But that's the power of the Qaim's dawah as well.
Yeah, and you just mentioned it's Evelyn prison. That's very
Evelyn
infamous.
prison, I think it is, yeah.
And you bring that up for a very good reason, because we've had followers of this dawah who have been thrown into this terrible, like dastardly detention camp.
Like Muawiyah's dungeons, really, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, where they get tortured and no one knows, they throw away the key. Or like, I remember after Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria, they were finding bones in the tombs there and signs of complete
gulags are very much alive.
mutilation.
They didn't go anywhere. And now we shift to Zambia.
This is brother Jafar.
I love
brother Chandri. He's one of the good brothers in Zambia who's been out there. He's even tried to front a school, you know, to teach believers the fundamentals of the dawah.
Amazing.
So I've spoken to him a few times, and he's very enthusiastic.
Wow,
and
beautiful.
We got to get that shirt now.
I think he was a shepherd himself, a farmer, and he's keen to spread the dawah in Zambia with Brother Razak. So yeah, they're good guys, and that's another nation.
What's their background? Are they Muslim background? Or?
Yeah, he was actually training to be a imam, I think, of a masjid.
All right.
But then he found the call and he resonated towards it, and he jumps at the chance to spread the call where he can. But there's still a lot of oppression there, like there would be in Kenya and Somalia.
Yeah.
And there's another point here. I mean, obviously there is that fear factor, but also the fact that brother Jafar is very consistent.
He is.
I've seen TikTok like almost every day, and he's spreading the call, he's speaking to people, and the fact that he's doing it, you know, you can have a burst of motivation if you're inspired for a single day or maybe two, but to do it consistently over the course of months and years, that's a completely different level you have to be at, level of faith.
Yeah, no, very important to point that out.
He is at that level.
Consistent performer, he's a consistent producer.
Yes, and that is how he's going to capture an audience, and they're going to resonate towards him, because people see and they want to replicate what they see goodness in, you know.
Absolutely.
And it inspires people when they see there must be something in it. The people around this community, they say when they see our community, there must be something in this. These people haven't been here for one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10, 15 years, all calling towards the same person and the same mission. What's going on here? That doesn't happen normally.
Yeah. And you know, we oftentimes think that we are the ones who found the Imam, but actually he found us and he chose us, and it is people who planned, like our brother Jafar is his name.
That's correct.
Jafar, yeah.
He had this whole plan set out of being an Imam of a mosque somewhere in Zambia.
He did,
in Zambia, and then God's like, no, you're going to be a Rasul of the Mahdi.
Exactly.
And this is the beauty of God's plan.
That's really
Absolutely.
cool. It's really cool.
He brings us out from all corners of the earth.
And you mentioned God's plan there, and it certainly does feel like that, because it's not only the fact that we're here and we're brothers and sisters and we get along with each other, but actually if you take into account the logistical element of it, to be able to run a community this seamlessly and with this much synergy, it requires a lot of effort. And not only is that effort there, but actually God's grace is there, because that effort doesn't feel like effort. It almost feels like a blessing to be able to do this and to be able to serve under the Qaim of Ali Muhammad.
It's a totally different flavor
Exactly.
when you have a purpose-driven life.
And the dunya, the glue is money. And here it's God's will and God's face and your face and that essence of the ether that is not tangible.
Yeah.
And that's hard to put into words.
Yeah, well, look, we know we're chosen. We can't take any credit, really, because Imam Mahdi already told us through his son in the soul world, the Yamani Ahmad al-Hassan, that I have been waiting for you. And the Imam, the 12th Imam, the Shia, hundreds of millions of Shia believe that he is still alive. He is over 1,000 years old. And yes, it is possible, because if you believe that Noah lived over 1,000 years, then it's very possible for the Imam al-Mahdi, Muhammad ibn al-Hassan al-Askari, to also live for that length of time. And he said to the Yamani, his successor, the first of the 12 Mahdis, Ahmad al-Hassan, from him is peace, that I have been waiting until your grandparents were born, so that they may give birth to your parents, who then would give birth to you. If that is not being chosen through divine decree as avatars for souls that have returned in this time for a very special purpose, to establish the divine just state, that return to the Garden of Eden, then I don't know what is. And when you look at these faces, these are the faces that are going to help the riser of the family of Muhammad build that state. So Abba Sadiq to share their images of their smiling faces with their t-shirts saying, the Mahdi sent me, it means a lot. And it means a lot because these are the faces of the future that will be remembered for recognizing the Qa'im of the family of Muhammad and helping him to build that divine justice.
The pioneers. And what you have been promised has arrived, as it says on the banner.
Exactly.
So people just need to resonate with that. And these messengers are doing all the groundwork and laying the foundations.
They are doing. They are literally the messengers of God in this time.
Absolutely. And I think you pointed out to the fact, like, we don't really know. Like, we didn't necessarily choose this call chose us. But then, using the same sort of logic, I'd like to say to my viewers that, you know, it has chosen you as well. If you're listening to this call and you investigate this call, you could be one of the very lucky members that helps build the divine just state with Ali Muhammad. And what bigger mission than that? So,
I agree with you, because the fundamental is, even if you're just tuning in and you're listening and you're digesting this information and reflecting it to yourself and your family, that means you've not just turned it over. You want something, you're seeking something, and you want something better for your family and for the next generation. So you're already on that path. And it's only up to you now how far you want to go into it. You know, you can only control that yourself, and God's giving you the opportunity, and there is no limitation. As God has said, anyone that wants to reach will reach. So it's up to you now.
Yeah, you got to be humble. You got to keep your eyes fixed on the Imam, the Qibla, and this will take you to the finishing line, inshallah. So any more pictures up of our believers? Let's go through the remaining few that we have. And this is in Spain. More great work, more promotion of the appearance of the Savior, the Mahdi, the man who finally brings into existence that thing that Prophet Plato called the Republic.
Exactly, and Spain's been a blessing for the believers like Latvia and other nations, because they've hosted and supported some of the 104 and the refugees.
Absolutely.
So we can
Unlike Iran. What a
so all those
country
which is supposedly Iran, which is supposedly under the rulership of the 12th Imam. How can it possibly be?
Shocking. Shocking when they need 10,000 313 and they've got quite a few more than that. So Spain.
Lots of good work happening in Spain. Oh, we go to Iraq now. See, this is literally spin the globe. We are globetrotting here on Rise Up, and this is a beautiful portrait which I think depicts Abba Sadiq with the Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. And they have very intelligently put Jesus on the right, because he is Gabriel, who stands on the right of the Qa'im with Michael on the left, and they have a very special bond and relationship, of course.
And it says that the Qa'im is a messenger from Christ as well. So that's a good affirmation. To the Christians, you know. Meaning that if he's a messenger as well to the Jews from Elijah, and a messenger to the Muslims from the 12th Imam, then accordingly he must know the books, as it says, better than their scholars of all these religions. So
and I wish, brother, we could show this image to Brother Simon from Melbourne. and make him realize that we're trying to build bridges and trying to get everybody to love the prophets and messengers of God who come in their time with the Spirit of God to teach mankind the truth that God wants to teach in order to set our imprisoned minds free.
Exactly. Absolutely. I mean, if you go onto the channel, the Mehdi Has Appeared YouTube channel, I mean, you can't necessarily say that it's only fixated on Islam or the Muslim world, but actually it goes a lot into detail into Judaism, Christianity, and the history of that world as well. So, absolutely, it makes complete sense that he is bringing light to the fact that prophets and messengers, they were all sent by the same God, and because of that very fact, the message is always going to be the same.
Exactly. And we reflect on things like how all these recent discoveries, like the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Nag Hammadi texts, only in the last generation or so, ties in perfectly with the only person that can understand and reveal the true nature of these books, which are very esoteric. And we can read them and gain something, but to really weave the tapestry, you need somebody.
Absolutely, and it's even more important to be able to dive deeper into this with Abul Sadiq al-Islam, because in nowadays there's so much conspiracy theories. Everyone has a theory. Everyone has something that they believe in. So you really need some way to be able to distinguish truth from falsehood, and that's exactly what Abul Sadiq al-Islam is doing.
Exactly.
I think we have one last image. Let's bring it up on the screen, and then that is the end of our community post segment. So Chile. Or Chile.
Wow.
I think that's the correct
Chile,
pronunciation, James. Have you been to Chile before?
I've not been to Chile. I've only
James
been to...
international globetrotter. He's been to virtually
I've only been to British Guyana in South America. I've been to Central America, Mexico and Guatemala. But
Can you tell us about this gent?
I honestly don't know, to be honest with you, but obviously he's a believer that would be connected most likely to Veronica or one of the brothers and sisters there. But for sure, they've done a big mission, and they've got so many believers now from Santiago de Chile, I'm sure, and as well as Venezuela and Colombia and Peru. And they all raised up the banners at the time of the death of the fake Pope. As obviously many of them are coming from Catholic backgrounds. But Chile, I think it was Salvador Allende and all these tyrant oppressors that they had in their country have left their mark and caused so many scars on their people. But God bless them. They're doing well, and they're supporting the mission now.
It's such a, looking at his face there, look, he's shining, beaming with light. He's this smile that is a smile of faith, and he is at peace because he found his imam as probably, I would imagine, a Christian Catholic who has now come to the Mehdi. And this is what really inspires me, that people from these backgrounds, I met Sister Priya recently, who comes from a Hindu background, you know, growing up in that tradition, and then hopscotching her way over the heads of all the non-working scholars from Najaf and Qum, and she finds the imam of her time. And these are the people that truly inspire us, and we love to speak about them. And God bless you, our dear brother in Chile, who is doing a fantastic job to spread the appearance of the Jesus of this age.
Exactly, and they seem such humble people, and I think that's a clear affirmation that humility guides you a lot as well, and sincere people. And just a shout out to the people of Australia and New Zealand who are doing...
your people, yes. Tell us how's life in Down Under.
There's about 12 or 13 of them, and they're out there doing so many posters in Melbourne, in Sydney, in Wellington, in Tarangau. You know, the brothers and sisters, and whether it's Brother Alan, sisters in Noor, Brother Timothy and Khalid and Nezreen, they're all doing a great job, and we're very proud of them.
Shout out to all of the people.
Yeah, but
God bless you.
They're doing a great job, and they're coming from such diverse faiths as well, and you know, from Christianity, from spiritualism, from New Age, from agnosticism.
Worshippers of the sun.
So they're confirming what you're saying, and so that's great to see as well.
Okay, that's great. Let's take a short break now, and we've spoken on many topics. We hope that you will pick up the phone, dial that number on the screen, and get in touch with us. It'd be interesting if we got another call from Australia with you being present, James. It'd be cool. But yeah, let's come back after the break, and we'll be right back.
I am Gabriel. I am Michael. I am Raphael.
I am Azrael. I am Azazel.
figure shrouded in mystery and divine favor, is a central character in ancient religious traditions, especially within the Jewish, Christian, and Ethiopian Orthodox faiths. His story is one of unparalleled ascension and profound wisdom, marking him as one of the few mortals to be taken up by God without tasting death. Throughout history, Enoch has been revered as a righteous prophet, a scribe of divine mysteries, and a key figure in end-time prophecies. His legacy, especially in the Ethiopian tradition, speaks of a future where he will return as a powerful leader to bring justice and peace to the land. In the Hebrew Bible, Genesis 5:24 tells us that Enoch walked with God. Then he was no more because God took him, signaling his divine ascension. The book of Enoch expands on this, describing how Enoch was taken up to the heavens, where he learned the secrets of the universe and was transformed into the angel Metatron. This divine transformation underscores his role as a mediator and messenger, destined to return in the end times. The book of Enoch also contains powerful eschatological prophecies, such as in verse Enoch, which foretells Enoch's return with 10,000 of his holy ones to execute judgment upon the ungodly, establishing divine justice on earth. This prophecy resonates deeply within Ethiopian tradition, where Enoch is venerated as a future leader who will guide the righteous in the final days. As we look to the future, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church, along with various other traditions, holds that Enoch will indeed return as a righteous leader, bringing with him a legion of 10,000 loyal followers to establish justice and peace across the land. This return is fulfilled today with the figure of Qaim Abba al-Sadiq, a messianic figure who is the reincarnation or return of Enoch. His mission will be to guide the people of Africa, establish a divine just state, leading them in righteousness and restoring divine order in a world plagued by chaos. Enoch's legacy as a bringer of divine justice continues to inspire hope and faith, promising a future where the righteous will triumph under his leadership.
We invite you to visit the official YouTube channel of the Mahdi, Abba al-Sadiq, Abdullah Hashim, the prophesied Qa'im from the family of Muhammad. Peace is from him. You will find there his official statements, the foundations and proofs of his call and mission, and the full episodes of the now famous series, The School of Divine Mysteries. Get ready for your daily dose of spiritual inspiration with the Shorts tab, where you will find new and fascinating videos highlighting the essential and most captivating points taken from his sermons and episodes, along with some exclusive videos where he answers the questions of the believers. Stay connected and engaged with Abba al-Sadiq and the global community of his Ansar all around the world with the community posts. Don't miss out on valuable resources. By clicking on the channel description, you'll find the links to all his lectures available on podcast format, an email address where you can contact us directly, a link for direct donation, and of course, the link to the Divine Just State magazine, as well as links to download his books for free, The Goal of the Wise and the Manifesto of the Mahdi. Finally, don't forget to subscribe and to take a look at our special section exclusive members only page by clicking on the Join button. What you have been promised has arrived. The Mahdi has appeared.
And the Quran said, we never punish until we have sent a messenger. And I am that messenger. I am inviting you to the seventh and final covenant between God and mankind. Accepting this covenant is the only thing that will save you from the punishment which is about to come down upon mankind.
The messenger of Allah, peace be upon him and his family, said, Hijaz will be ruled by a man whose name is the name of an animal. If you see him from far, you would think he's cross-eyed, and if you come close to him, you do not see anything wrong in his eyes. He will be succeeded by a brother of his named Abdullah. Woe to our Shia from him. He repeated it 3 times. Give me the glad tidings of his death, and I give you the glad tidings of the appearance of the Hujjah. And in another narration, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, from him his peace, said, whoever guarantees for me the death of Abdullah, I shall guarantee for him the Qa'im.
Welcome back, and we're here on the couch with Brother James and Brother Abeer having a fantastic philosophical discussion about the nature of God, the nature of the reality that we inhabit, and the times we live in. These are prophesied times spoken of by wise sages and prophets and messengers of God. To be mindful and aware of the signs that are happening around us on a daily basis.
We're in the end times. And it doesn't mean the end of the world. It means, as in Greek, the apocalypse, the unveiling. And the unveiling has to happen at a time when there are many calamities that are taking place in order to help wake people up. Corruption has appeared on the lands and the seas on account of what the hands of men have wrought. They taste the punishment, at least they might return. So these signs, whether it's calamities in the sky, whether it's earthquakes, whether it's pestilence, and we see it in the world around us, where Bedouin Arabs are building tall towers, shopping malls with shops coming under one roof, and
competing for the building of the tallest buildings.
Exactly, iron flying in the sky.
The barefooted Arabs. That's what the narration says.
Time speeding up as well. I've heard recently, time's just like flying.
And holding on to true religion is like holding on to coals, and the signs go like on a bead of a necklace, one after the other. So
absolutely.
And you saw a lot of the narrations and a lot of the news pieces as in the break that we're watching on the television there. You could see a lot of these narrations are pointing people's attention to be mindful of these signs. These were prophecies that were given for a specific reason, so that people may recognize these signs as they appear and ask the question, where is the Mahdi?
Exactly.
And you both used the word mindful a couple of times, so I think that's an important thing to do, isn't it? Like, you have to be mindful about the information that you're taking in and what information you're actually giving out as well, like, because there's so much information, narratives and stories all around us, and it's for you to pick the one that resonates with you, which should be, if you're a true believer and you follow truth, it should be this call, really.
Exactly. Because there are many conspiratory channels out there, conspiratory Illuminati channels, and they have some knowledge. Where do they derive it from? Most likely from Tads and Arrivals, penned by Abu Sadiq alayhi salam. But ultimately, they don't have a guidance to a solution. Problem, reaction, we need a solution.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are just living in very subconsciously, I feel like a lot of people, they just kind of flow with the ebbs and flows of the world, and they're reacting to everything that's happening, but they're not truly living, like they're not quite conscious, quite deliberate. And this is something that Abu Sadiq alayhi salam alluded to as well. Like, people need to live in a more deliberate fashion. They need to be aware of what they're thinking, what they're saying, what they're doing, so that they can make a more positive impact in the world. Otherwise, with everything around us, with all these signs and wars and rumors of wars, you just, you lose yourself to the noise and the crowd, and it's difficult.
Yes, to be aware and to pay attention to what is going on is a very important quality and trait in a believer. And the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his family stated that there is no difference between a believer except for their taqwa, which distinguishes them, their God consciousness, their mindfulness, their awareness of what is happening around them. And this is a quality that, just like you go into the gym, and we were just talking about returning to the gym, to build the physical body and the physical muscle, the muscle of the intellect and the soul is really consciousness, awareness of what is happening, and not to let these signs fly by like those fleeting clouds in the wind, but actually to really read the language that God is communicating with you in, which is through his ayat, through his signs that are happening every single day, like Brother James mentioned, like the beads on a prayer bead, that one after the other, this is coming off the string, and people are asleep while the flood is coming. Now, we are talking about mindfulness and paying attention. And one of the cultural phenomenons that we witnessed was something that was kind of based on this concept, but then taken in a different direction, which is talking about the book The Secret. And we've been talking about books recently on Rise Up, and we're going to bring us some really interesting books onto the show in the near future. But this one really did create a phenomenon, and it's about the idea, isn't it, James? The Secret, which was popularized by Oprah Winfrey and so many other people. It became a bestseller overnight, which is that if you put your mind onto something, if you really visualize and pay attention to something, you will attract it in your life. And then Abasada gave us his take.
You know, absolutely. I think the way the bookstore goes into it, it's just almost like, you know, you go into a quiet room, you sit in a, you know, you get comfortable in a meditative position, and then you just sort of try to visualize and think about what you want to achieve in life. But if what you want to manifest into your life, but if you think about it, like, who is that really helping? Like, what is the really, it doesn't feel that active. It almost feels a little bit passive. Like, you're not necessarily taking any active steps to achieve that particular goal. And there's a lot of waiting around, and there's also a lot of hoping. And the take that Abbas Sadiq al-Islam is encouraging is that do good unto others and God will do good unto you. Because as you believe, and as most religions believe, that God is a personification of the most merciful, of the most giving, of the most kind. So when you do acts of kindness and act of giving, whether it's material giving or, you know, just taking care of somebody, God is going to take care of you, or going to give you those things, but in tenfold or in hundredfolds. That's the take that Abbas Sadiq. And if you think about it, that's such a more progressive way of thinking about it, because you're actually going into the community, bettering the community, taking care of your fellow human beings. And then because of that, God is saying, well, if he's doing that, then obviously I'm the most kind, the most giving. Well, then I have to up that level.
Well, the true secret is really with the riser of the family of Muhammad.
It is, and how the happiness is hidden not in the self but in the other. So it is the golden rule of Pythagoras, you know. So it's not a rule just set by one prophet. It's an eternal rule. Really. It's a universal rule. So if it's a universal law, like any law of the universe, even if it's just a physical law or a metaphysical law, but we don't apply it, yet we want happiness in our life, then we're flawed in our thinking, because fundamentally we have to apply those universal laws in order for those things to come forward. And fundamentally that is a key one. So the secret is much greater than that.
But it's not only at the material realm, is it though? No. It's also like almost like at a karmic level. It could be anything at all. It could be how you treat other people and how you come across. Maybe that gets sort of like shifted back, and you get treated the same way as how you gave out. So it's interesting. It doesn't necessarily have to be something in physical form or in money or material form.
For sure, it's both ways. It's metaphysical as well. It's karmic.
Yes.
And you will be, as it says in the Quran, you will not be wronged a groove in a date stone. So
absolutely,
everything we do is having an effect and an impact, and it's cyclical, and it's universal, and it's beyond incarnation. So it's such a powerful, deep level.
Yes.
And only Abbas Sadiq is revealing the true essence of the secret. And he's making it fundamentally clear that we have to be active participants in that. We can't just be wastanders and be passive, as you say. And so that, once again, taking it from the aspect of just reading and understanding a religion, you have to be pioneers and practical in that as well.
Yes. So this is it, isn't it? And as we go into our next clip, it really answers the question of, well, The Secret, the book, was really about the law of attraction. We're not disputing that. There is something that attracts things into your life. We're just begging to differ. What is the mechanism that pulls that thing into your sphere of consciousness, into your reality? And Abba Sadiq in this segment will reveal the true secret behind the secret. So let's go to our clip and we'll be right back.
Today, we're diving into something truly transformative, a spiritually grounded perspective on the law of attraction that goes far deeper than what most of us are used to hearing. We've all heard of the law of attraction, the idea that you can manifest what you desire by focusing your thoughts, staying positive and visualizing your goals. But a rising spiritual voice, Abu al-Sadiq, offers a profound and ancient twist on this idea. He calls it the true secret. This true secret, he says, is found in the teachings of the prophets, the messengers, and the spiritual guides throughout history. And it all comes down to one simple yet deeply transformative principle. To receive what you desire from God, you must reflect those same qualities onto others.
There is this secret to obtaining success, the secret to obtaining whatever it is that you want to obtain. So whatever it is that you would want to obtain, the secret is is applicable to whatever it is that you are pursuing. If you are pursuing richness, the secret applies. If you're pursuing mercy, the secret applies. If you're pursuing love, the secret applies. And the secret was really quite simple, and that is that you should be however it is that you want God to be with you. So you become like a mirror first of that which you want reflected onto you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Abu al-Sadiq explains that God's system operates like a spiritual law of cause and effect, a divine justice system. As you act, so it shall be done to you. It's echoed in a well-known prophetic saying, God does not change the condition of a people until they change what is within themselves. So the shift begins internally, and he speaks from experience.
And so I took this idea, I took this notion, and I decided to experiment with it, and I decided to apply it. And I made an oath and a covenant with God. I said to God, no matter who it is, no matter what it is that they are asking for, I promise you that I will fulfill their request, okay? So long as I am capable of it. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obviously does not burden a soul with that which it cannot bear. I decided that I was going to take these wisdoms and apply it in my actual life. And so I would walk on the streets of Egypt, and I might have in my pocket, say, 50 Egyptian pounds. And I would encounter a beggar on the street. If the beggar asked for money, I would ensure that I paid the beggar and gave the beggar a portion or perhaps all of that which I had. It would be dependent upon the situation. If I was walking and I had to go to a particular destination and I absolutely needed the money that was with me, then I would give everything else above the need to the individual that had asked me. Or perhaps I would assess the situation, and if I found that the person asking me was in greater need, then I would not hesitate to give everything that I had. Essentially, I would be conscious of the fact that this person asking could be an angel, and I could be in a test at the very moment with God, and that God, based on this interaction between me and the individual, will deal with me in the same way. And what I found to be true is that after going forth and doing these things, everything that I would ask for would be fulfilled for me. If I asked God for something, He would answer me.
He says that when he began embodying this principle, not only were his needs met, even his unspoken desires began manifesting, not through asking, but through alignment, through becoming. He describes it as living as a pipeline for God's attributes: generosity, forgiveness, wealth, compassion, and in doing so, becoming a magnet for those same blessings. This approach challenges us to stop chasing success in isolation. Instead, we become contributors to the collective good. When you serve others, when you forgive unconditionally, even your enemies, when you recognize that their hurtful actions may come from fear or darkness, you're actually positioning yourself to receive divine mercy in return. And the beauty of this, it's contagious. When others witness you living this way, embodying grace, compassion, and abundance, they're inspired to do the same. The ripple effect can transform not just individuals, but communities. So this morning, I invite you to reflect. What do I want most from life and from God? Now ask, how can I give that to somebody else today? Abu al-Sadiq calls this the true path to lasting fulfillment. Not chasing blessings, but becoming the source of them. And that's the real secret.
And we're back. So we had that beautifully made segment, I have to say. Really enjoyed it. Sister Ridha, great job, and a great job putting it together. So this was about the secret, the law of attraction. And in the last 5 minutes before we close off today's show, gents, what is the main insight and what is the main message in how people can utilize the secret in order to reach the ultimate goal, which is the Imam of the time?
I think the video that we just saw was incredibly powerful. I got a little really emotional just listening to it.
It's almost like, we should have not much more to add to that.
Abu Sadiq says it the best in many ways.
He does.
Of course he does. But in reflection, we are a mirror to others and how we act with them and how we talk to them and how we try and help them, and our intentions behind that is often what will be reciprocated towards us, I'm sure. And
absolutely.
Like Jesus would say, when I was hungry, did you feed me? When I was thirsty, did you give me to drink? When I needed shelter, did you provide it? Because we don't know who we're dealing with when we deal with anybody. And who are we to judge anyway in the outcome of that? Who are we to judge if someone's an angel or just a desperate individual who's seeking sustenance? We should never turn anyone away in any circumstance. And that's beautiful.
Yeah, and one thing that really shoots out at me when I read the Quran is that in so many places it says believe and do righteous deeds, believe and do righteous deeds. And if you think about the fact that we have a finite number of years that we're on this planet, we want to surround ourselves, coming back to your question, we want to surround ourselves in a community and with the Qaim of Ali Muhammad, the chosen messenger from God, so that you can use your time serving others and serving people who are in need of your service or your aid or whatever you have to give. So I think that if, a day spent in the service of God or in service of anyone in the creatures created by God, it's a day well spent. And if you compared that day to any other day, like every other day would just feel so short and so insignificant in comparison. Like when I look at the outside world, like you're working for money, you're working for a few crumbs, and it's just insignificant. But actually, as you rightly pointed out, when you give, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to give you tenfold, 100-fold. You're going to get so much back. So you just have to be with the Qaim because He's created that society, that community where you can do that at a consistent basis.
Yeah, exactly. And, we know the ancient philosophers would talk like this as well. And, it's not about whenever we do an action, our actions will, obviously become habits eventually. And those habits, if they're good ones. So we should reflect on that, not just for goodness, but make sure those habits are good. Because if we do bad things, then they may become bad habits as well. Absolutely. And they're hard to break. And then we see addictions. And that's when people aren't facing God's mirror and their own ego mirror perhaps, and then their deeds become based on those kind of things, addictive behaviors, or that's when it goes wrong. So if we face God through His mirror and do those positive actions, then it becomes ingrained in our psyche, and then those things come to us just by nature. You know what it's like when you give a gift to someone and suddenly people are gifting you things and you didn't even expect it. It's like that's incredible in many ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the main insight I took from it which I'd like to give to the audience and anybody who's watching and looking for God in this day and age, who is looking for God in creation in this day and age, then the best way to do that, to attract yourself towards the Imam of the time, is to continue to give dawah. If you're abroad in Chile or Australia or Canada, then what will pull you closer to the magnet, to the Qibla, to the Imam of the time, is continuing this dawah. Continue spreading the word, continue putting up those posters and placards, and continue inviting the people to the truth. It is that work that will suddenly open the door from where you least expected it, and you will be drawn closer to the Imam of the time through the law of attraction. So what better use could there be of this wisdom that Abba Sadiq shared with us, that in order to attract something, you have to first perform that thing you wish to attract.
Yeah.
You know, this is what it's about. So there is nothing that will take you closer to God, therefore, than bringing other people into this call.
It's a practical revolution.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
This is the true wisdom behind the secret and the law of attraction. It is to become, it is to do it through work. And Imam Ahmad al-Hassan al-Islam said it best. And let's end on the words of our Imam, the first Mahdi, the Yamani from Al-Muhammad, who is one of the signs that are undeniable and unchangeable. He said, work and work and work until you are breathless, for in working lies your salvation. But interestingly, breathlessness can also happen from repeated speech, from repeated dawah, from repeated calling people to haqq, the truth, and to righteousness, and to warn them about the coming signs and the times we're living in. This is a great honor and privilege for us to be able to do this on the platform created by the riser of the family of Muhammad. And it was a true honor to share the stage with you, my brothers. And thank you very much for you, the audience, for joining us today. And we'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same place, on Rise Up. And with that, we say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.